Election Day now just over 1 week away. It is the final push for both candidates in the race for White House. ABC News Deputy Political Director Avery Harper now joining us with much more. Thanks so much for your time, first of all. So let's start for those final days ahead of Election Day. What do the candidates need to be doing, and what can we really expect the messaging to be in the final days?
Right, this is really a time for both of these candidates to make their closing arguments to the American people. Why should the American people, many of whom have not cast ballots yet, why should they vote for each of these candidates? I think for both of these candidates, I think for Vice President Kamala Harris, what we're going to see her do is a closing argument speech on the National Mall. And there, I think she is going to be trying to create and put forth a stark contrast between her vision for the country and that of former President Trump. I think we're going to be hearing her speak about the protection of democracy. We're going to be hearing her speak about the economy, hearing her speak about issues that people care about as they determine who they're going to cast their ballot for. I think on the other end of things, we're going to see former President Trump really talk about his vision for the country, returning to the way things were during his first term. I think for him, he is also going to make a lot of his messaging be about the southern border. We've seen that throughout his time on the trail. I think he's going to also try and make the economical argument. The economy is the most important issue as folks decide who they're going to cast their ballots for. And so I think both of these candidates are going to talk about that.
So who exactly are the undecided voters at this point? Is there really a big group of them, or do you think most are decided? So who are the candidates really talking to at this point?
Listen, I think there are a lot of folks who already have their choices in their heads. If they have not cast ballots already, and there have been millions of Americans who have cast ballots in states across the country, early and in person, early via mail, absentee voting. But there are folks, and particularly people in these battleground states that we're watching to see who they're going to cast their ballots for. I am particularly looking at folks like disaffected Republicans, people who might have been supporting Nikki Haley during the primary. What are those folks going to do? Are those folks going to hold their nose and vote for former President Trump? Are they going to stay at home on the couch, or will they cross party lines and vote for Kamala Harris? I think that is some of what is going to make the difference as we see who comes out on top on election night.
Yeah, interesting look at that. So where we are in Alabama, right, how does a state like Alabama that tends to go red play into the bigger political picture here?
Right. You just mentioned it. It is not a battleground state. We typically see Alabama go red for the presidential election, and I don't think we will see anything different this time around. Listen, it is a part of the presidential candidates, their quest to get to 270, right? They need to get to 270 in order to win the presidential election. And so it's most likely going to be a part of former President Trump's ledger when it comes time to count those electoral votes. And so I think that's what we can count on.
And then final question for you for today. As far as battleground states go, are there any states that are somewhat surprising right now that are kind of appearing at the last minute as a potential battleground that we haven't seen before?
No, it really comes down to the same handful of states each time around. And so we're looking at states like North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Michigan, Arizona. These are places where the electorate is almost even. Nevada as well. The electorate's almost even in these states. There are some dynamics within each of these states that might create, folks swinging in one direction or the other. And this is why we're seeing these candidates concentrate their travel in some of these battleground states. And we'll have to see what happens on election night. Things can be really close. It could trigger recounts in some places. That's all something that we're preparing to see.
Thank you so much, Avery Harper, for your time, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you in the next days and potentially weeks to come.